Alright, so the book that I chose for my independent study project was Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. It's upside down. Love that. Alright, so Grapes of Wrath is basically about this family that lives in rural Oklahoma during the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression. They are tenant farmers, and they end up getting kicked off of their land by the bank because the bank wants to make way for tractors. Woo! We love industrialization. Just kidding, no we don't. Anyway, the family ends up electing to move to California on the premise that there is work and there is jobs available. And that ends up pretty much being the opposite of the truth. But along the way, they end up being exploited for labor because there are so many people that there's so many people and so few jobs that they basically get paid next to nothing. So because of this, they kind of have to deal with starvation and being homeless and all these other things. The book pretty much just follows them throughout that whole journey. And how does that relate to society today? Good question. Well, I think I have an answer. So, today in the United States, immigration is obviously a very heated topic of contention. And immigrants today, especially people who immigrate to California, all those southern border states where there is heavy agriculture, a lot of field hands are undocumented immigrants, and a lot of the time these people are taken advantage of. They're overexploited, they're overworked, and they're underpaid, just like the people in Grapes of Wrath. So I think that's something that's still really relevant today, even though these people are migrating across a national border. It's still the same idea. And then even domestic migration, people do move states for work all the time. And another way this is relevant to society is if you look at it on a global scale, not even only within North America or the United States or however you want to look at it, but in Asia, a ton of people are overexploited for work because there's such high population numbers there, and there's all of these kind of sweatshops and people that use borderline slave labor in order to accomplish a goal and pay barely anything, cents on the hour. So overexploitation in work is still something that's very much prevalent today. So anyway, in the book, there's a lot of times where people will bond together and they'll put the kind of strength, the survival of the group over the survival of themselves. And that's something that we still see today. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean literal survival like it does in the book. It can kind of be people coming together in times of hardship. In the world, every time that we see something tragic happen, there's often a lot of global support. And by tragedy, I mean national disasters, terrorist attacks, anything like that. You tend to see a bunch of people kind of band together and unite. And it's this really nice thing, but it kind of sucks at the worst parts of society, and all of these things have to bring this out. So my personal reaction to the book, it does kind of jump around between plot and commentary and all of that. It's a very jumpy text, and a lot of people don't like that, but frankly, I think it makes the book just that much more dynamic. I think it makes it more of an interesting read, and I think it makes it more realistic because in reality, life is not smooth and life jumps around a lot. Anyway, so how this relates to my personal life, I think it's a pretty direct correlation. It's kind of stupid. I mean, I don't know if you can tell by this giant flag right here, or if you even have remotely talked to me. I know I literally, in the last project I did, I literally said I'm never going to talk about California again, but I'm sorry, guys. Here we go again. So this relates to my personal life because my family moved to California on the premise of work as well, and my dad's job kind of moved us across country super sporadically, just like in the book. I mean, I'm not necessarily comparing anything that I've gone through to what they've gone through, because it's definitely my life is not nearly as bad. But I did also make that journey across country to California for the purpose of work and for the purpose of kind of bettering my family's lives, or whatever you want to believe. I drove from South Carolina to California, and they drove from Oklahoma to California, so it's obviously a little bit different just because, South Carolina is kind of further on the East Coast and it's a bigger drive. But it probably took just as long for them because cars are way slower back then, and they probably also did not have air conditioning. Actually, they definitely did not have air conditioning, which is not very cash money of them, and I don't know how they did it. I literally would have died. Anyway, so I'm by no means trying to compare my road trip to theirs. Mine was pretty sucky as is, just because no one wants to be cooped up in a car for that long. But from the way the text made it sound, they were definitely in a car a lot longer than I was, so I'm definitely blessed for that. Shout out Base God. Yeah, so that's just kind of how it relates to my life. It's kind of stupid. It's kind of really obvious, but I thought it was kind of cool how it was that directly related to my life, even the reason that I moved. So,